All right, once again, my name is Chinyere Ojike. Welcome to my channel again. In my previous video, I talked about my role as a child worker. You might want to look up for that video in case you haven't seen that. And if you are interested working in a daycare, nursery school, that video would give you a hint as to what you are expected to be doing as a child worker in a daycare or in a nursery school. However, today I will be talking about all what I do as a teaching assistant in a primary school or in primary schools because I am a contract worker. I work for agencies, not one, but two different agencies. So they send me to different schools to work. And why did I choose to become a TA, teaching assistant, precisely? Is because I am not a single mother, but I live alone with my son, who is currently 9. So just for the flexibility of working in schools, that was really what attracted me to becoming a TA, because as a TA, you go to school, you resume work 8:30 a.m. in the morning and you finish at 3 o'clock or 3:15, 3:30. But once the children are going home at 3:15, you are allowed to go home as well, because the main class teachers are usually the ones that hand over the children to their parents. You don't know their parents. So once they are leaving the class at about 3:13 p.m., 3:12 queuing to go home. In fact, you are free to go home, even though in your booking it always says 3:30. But I've had a school where I worked. In my booking, it said 3:15. You are finishing 3:15. Unfortunately, that school, they don't even go home until 3:30. That is to say, the children start queuing to go home at 3:25. You see to that. So how about that 10 to 15 minutes? I had to stay until 3:30 for me to go home. So it's usually both ways. However, today I will be sharing with you some of the things I do as a teaching assistant in a primary school. First, when I come to school in the morning, I will scan the class, because normally in every primary school, the children, they start coming into the class at 8:40 a.m. Let me know in the comment section if the school gates in your child's school open 8:40 or 8:30 in the morning. My son's school, it's 8:40, and in most of the schools I've worked in, 8:40 a.m. in the morning. So that is why you are expected to start 8:30 a.m. in the morning. So 8:30 a.m. in the morning, I am already in the school, signed in, straight to the class where I will be assisting. And what do? Just scan around the class and see that all the materials needed for the children to work with, they are set. Especially the current school where I am currently working, once I go in, I will check. They usually do maths in the morning. So I will just share. There are 30 of them in that class. They have whiteboard that they use. I will just make sure that all the boards are on each of their desks. Put them out and then put their writing material. Sometimes make sure that they have a set of marker for that group. Sometimes they are usually 6 on a table because they sit round table, or in other way, the other way around. Make sure that there are a complete set of marker for them to write. The marker that you can use and write, and you wipe it immediately. So this is what I do in the morning before the children comes in, and as soon as they are coming for year one, sometimes you put out the stuff, the paper for them to write their name, because they are just letting them learn how to identify their name and how to write their names. So you put up those things so that they will practice writing their names in the morning, or practice the marks in the morning, depending on the class you are supporting and what they usually do. Their main teacher would let you know what their routine is like. This is why it is important you always ask questions each time you go to a new school, as an agency worker that I am, unless you are employed directly to a particular school. But even at that, you need to ask questions, isn't it, for you to know what to do. Don't just stand aloof or as a stranger, or looking scared, looking lost, not knowing what to do. If you don't know what to do, what will you do? Just ask a question. They're going to put you through. They are very much free with ways here. So establish a good rapport with the class teacher for your work to flow freely. So once the lesson commences, the first lesson could be English or maths, depending on what it is, or even health education, science. What do you do after the teacher has taught the class and they give out the exercise for the children to work out on? You just have to support the children. Yes, motivate the children, especially anyone that needs your help. If not, you might go and sit with a particular table. Normally they sit five in a table, or even six, as the case may be. You sit with them, and if there is anyone that needs special assistance for you to have an eye on, the teacher will tell you. So you read out, because sometimes when a teacher gives out instruction, not everybody picks that. It doesn't enter all the ears. So you might let the child know what exactly he or she is expected to do by the teacher. Give one-to-one support. Another thing you do is to also help manage children's behavior. Report the difficult ones to the teacher. And if it is, especially when it's something that you cannot manage, there are tough children. They have challenging behaviors. Some children are really funny. They can pinch, they can do something good. You ask the child to apologize, and you remind them of the class rules. We use our kind hands, no punching, no kicking, no biting. Use your kind hands. And remember the magic words, please and thank you. This is your role as well as a teaching assistant alongside the teacher. So sometimes you are also meant to support children with special needs. That's a big one. I think this is currently what I am doing. Unfortunately, it is not particularly a special need child, because this child has behavioral issues, so not special needs. Special needs are children with autism, some attention deficiency, that's ADH, whatever. You are meant to support them because they have little understanding, or they cannot really respond to issues as fast as others. So you are placed on one-to-one. And when this happens, honestly, you are focused on that one child, especially when the child have mobility issues. The child cannot really walk proper. Keep an eye on that child so that the child does not fall or injure themselves, because you will be held responsible. That is why they sent you to that class, to do one-to-one support with that child. Everywhere he goes, you go. Whatever he does, you keep an eye on that child, and you keep reporting back to the teacher. This is a one-to-one role in a classroom. Another role you do is a clerical support. Sometimes you have to set up materials for the class, such as going to the printer room or printer session to print out some materials. You learn on the job. Don't be afraid if you don't know how to do photocopy, you don't know how to print, you don't know how to cut out things. I learned everything on the job. The teacher will just give you the password. You just rush to the printer section, collect whatever he or she had sent to the printer, bring back to the class. If they want you to cut it so that they will trim out the off or the edges that are not wanted. You just do the trimming. If you don't know, you ask. I keep saying, don't forget to ask. The first time I was asked to trim peppers, I didn't know. I had to call a teacher, say, please, can you show me how to use this machine? And she did show me. And from that day, Chichi has learned how to, so I don't have to ask again. Always ask when you don't know, instead of damaging a facility in the school. Another role you play is to communicate with the class teacher and the parents. It depends on the school and what you are doing. Currently, I am supporting just one child in a school. This child, like I stated, has a behavioral issue, not a special needs child, because he doesn't do anything educational. We just have to run around the whole school. Times we go to the studio where I would dance. Honestly, I'm not paying for gym anymore, because I have my gym session in this school where I am currently placed, though it's a short time placement for a period of 1 month, which I can't wait for it to finish. So I report directly to the class teacher, to the boys class teacher, even though he does not stay in the classroom. We obviously stay in the sensory room and the studio outside. But at the end of my work for the day, I had to report to the teacher, and after which I hand over this boy to his parents, and I had to let the parents know if we had a nice day or a bad day. This is what it means to report to the teacher. But in most cases, if you are working in a classroom where every child is seated in that classroom, it is the role of the teacher to hand over these kids to their parents. And it is the job of the teacher to report it to their parents, not you. All you need to do is to pack your bag and go after school. Yes, you don't have to stand out there to be checking. Is that your mom? Okay, go. It's not your job as a teaching assistant. Your job after school is to carry your bag and go home. Yes. Another role you play is to look after children who are unwell or upset, especially during break time. A lot of children, they play rough or accident happens, even when children do not play rough. You have to have an eye to see what is going on when they had a clash, blah, blah, blah. Be open to take all the reports. Excuse me, Miss Francesca. Jen bite my ears. Jen pinched me. Did not say sorry. Call both of them. All right. Did you do the right thing? The person will say no. Okay. Do you want to say sorry to your friend? Remember, we use our kind hands. Okay. Just remind them the rules. That is it. But they will keep coming to you to report, even the ones you do not hear. Even the ones that you cannot understand. Just refer the child to another teacher. Remember, you don't do first aid. Every school, they have their health and safety teachers, first aid teacher. If there is bruises or whatever, refer that child to the first aid teacher. If you don't know the first aid teacher, refer the child to any teacher. Then the teacher will take it up from there. So look after children who are unwell, who are upset. Some would go and sit one side like this. Just walk up to that child and ask, "Are you okay? What is going on?" The child will tell you. Then you can refer the child to another teacher. This is your role as a teaching assistant. So another interesting one that we do as a teaching assistant is when there is any activity in the school or even PE. Nobody would tell you. You cannot take the children to the hall for their PE session and you as a teaching assistant would be standing aloof. You go and stand somewhere or you'll be sitting somewhere, you fold your hands like this, looking like a moron. Banana. It doesn't happen. You should participate. If the children are jumping, you jump. At least it's a way of you exercising yourself. If they sit, you sit. If they run that way, you run that way. You play along. When they play that game, they run in circle. You run. I've done it severally. It is the fun of it. You being actively participatory. It's just the fun of your work, to be honest. And another thing you do towards the end of the lesson, when you know that everything is done, my sister, my brother, just check around the classroom, make sure that everything is put in place where they are supposed to be. All the pencils, sometimes the children do that, but you check all the pencils where they go, this, you tidy up the class a bit. The school cleaner would also come in as soon as the children are leaving, but you do your bit, a little bit. You are not cleaning the class, tidy up the materials, put them in place, and your job is done. So how about the payment? Is it something lucrative? Anyway, let's talk about the flexibility. Like I stated in my introduction, I think I like it because I prefer working in the primary school as a TA, yes, than when I am sent to work in a daycare. You know why? Because primary school, they have their starting time and they have their finishing time, which is 8:30 in the morning until 3:30 at most. Until 3:30. But daycare, like I stated in my previous video, if you haven't seen that, they start 7 a.m. and finish 6 p.m. Even though you as an agency worker is not expected to work that long hours. You can do 10, you can do 8 hours, 9 hours, depending on what you are able to do and what you agreed with your agency. But at least primary school is fixed. It's 7.5 hours, 8 hours. You're gone home to your children or to your family. You can even do your school run depending if you drive. Or even if somebody like me, a family usually helps me out to pick my child after school. Yes, but guess what? He doesn't stay with them for 1 hour. I would come back and grab my child. But now that I'm getting a car, guess what? I should be able to do afternoon school run depending if I work locally, and if I cannot, I don't think anybody would keep my child for me for 20 minutes, for more than 20 minutes, the way I am looking at it once I start driving. So this is the beauty, the part I enjoy most working in school. Yes, it gives me that flexibility. And how about the pay? It's interesting. It all depends on the agency you are working for. One of the agencies I work for, they pay something. How much? Is it 88? Okay, so one of the agencies, they usually pay 82 pounds. Yes. And the other agency pay 88 pounds plus, which is approximately 90 pounds plus, you know, for that 8 hours. It's not bad at all, not bad. And some agencies could even pay you higher than that. It all depends. It's something sustainable because when you do this 5 times in a week, be assured that you are getting about 450 or more than 450 in a week. 450 in a week times two, it's 900. 900 times four, just calculate it yourself. Isn't that you're not even doing long hours? So these are just does it have disadvantages? I don't know. I've just told you the advantages and what I enjoy. And as an agency worker, remember to check out that video on the agencies hiring teaching assistants in the United Kingdom that I put up. Check in my description, you would find them. Thank you once again. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share to your friends who would benefit from it. Bye.